Okay, we're gonna call the Plan Commission meeting on November, no.
You got your mic on?
No,
There you go.
there we go. I'm gonna call the Plan Commission meeting on Tuesday, January 3rd to order. Roll call.
Commissioner Thusis,
Here.
Commissioner Duquette,
Here.
Trustee Bjorklund,
Here.
Trustee Kettlebutter,
Here.
and Village President Langfeld.
Here.
Let's do the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I have a motion or public comment, this is the opportunity for anyone to address the Plan Commission on any issue. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes. While the Plan Commission encourages input from residents, it may not discuss or act on any issues that is not duly noticed on the agenda. Those wishing to speak during the meeting are encouraged to register prior to the meeting, the start of the meeting. You may also register your comment by sending an email ahead to the meeting. Do you have any comments?
I received one email. This is from Tim Henneman, a town of Cross Plains resident. The Plan Commission meeting is what I really wanted to attend. However, due to health issues, I cannot. The subject of the village and its philosophy of water supply is now a great concern of mine. I am in the town of Barry and wish to remain in the town for a bunch of reasons. And I know that the village has many benefits, but so does the township. At this time, my property has an old well that does not meet drinking needs. After further checking, we need to install a new well or annex to the village for water. The costs seem to be about the same at first comparison. A few years ago, I thought the village would try to make some kind of a deal to help solve the Brewery Road conditions. We fear that the higher taxes and cost of water and sewer charges. We are thinking of selling, but how do you sell a house without water? At our age, we don't need a huge expense. The village has made many variances for Sundance. Maybe a few for us would be nice. Would the village allow us to keep our septic system? It's only about 10 years old, size for a 5-bedroom house, and my wife and I have been the only users. Could the village leave the property assessment the same as it is now, reassess after the next owners take over? Being so close to the village, could you connect water to the house, leave us in the township and just meter the water and give us a water bill without septic charges? What's another variance or two? There's a fire hydrant not far across the street. A little directional boring and we could pay for that maybe. Brewery Road is going to be rebuilt this year right up to our property line. The septic and water lines are part of this work. To reach Sundance in the future, the work will go right past our property. Maybe with some deals with the other landowners on Brewery Road, we could annex also. I sure wish I could be at this meeting. Tim Henneman.
I don't, I mean, we're gonna talk about the water thing. We can't act on that. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes from the November 7th Planning Commission meeting?
This is Kevin. I'll motion to approve the minute. I'll second.
Can I have all in favor, say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion passes. We're gonna skip item number 2, right, Jay?
I don't think we can skip it. I would like someone to make a motion. Well, I'll make a motion to postpone it to the February meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, perfect.
And if you want for
All in favor,
discussion,
say aye.
Well, like discussion.
Oh,
I was just curious why.
yeah, the reason why is that was something I placed on the agenda. And it's really something that would go a lot quicker if I was there personally, because I was going to put things on chalkboard. I had visuals to make it a little bit quicker. So I just think it would be better to go. I don't think there's any big rush to it.
Okay.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 3, discussion of village water system development philosophy. You want to start, Jay?
Well, I just wanted, this is gonna be a reoccurring item on the agenda, and I know Kevin had done some work, and what I'd like is the people who've done work on this topic to kind of just do a summary of what they found. So it's in the public, so it's not just on emails. So Kevin, if you would like to do a summary of what you sent me on what you discovered, and I think there was one other person that sent me some that had done some research on one of the topics.
Yeah, sure, Jay, this is, for the record, this is Kevin Lucius talking. I was asked to do a little bit of research on determining if there are other communities that have policies on when, where, why, how, et cetera, to allow private wells in a municipality, a city or a village. I didn't have to go far to find communities that have some policies pertaining to private wells. City of Madison being certainly the closest and largest and frankly very complete. And then also City of La Crosse, City of Brookfield, and a note from Penn State Extension. That's all the notes are in the report. But what was clear though, what I did find is while seeking to find policies pertaining to private wells, we were looking at it from the point, or I was trying to look at it from the point of how does municipality word certain policies, ordinances, et cetera, to allow for private wells and in a new development. And what I found was like City of Madison, for instance, it really took it from a different direction, which is their policies pertain to when they go and annex something or develop something and there is a private well, akin to what the gentleman spoke about in his letter here earlier. When that happens, when do they allow it? How long do they allow it for? And when do they have to hook up to the main system, really? So all the policies weren't about when to allow it. They were all frankly, how to get them out of the municipality, how to get the private wells out of the municipality. So there's some pertinent information and some pertinent language in there, but none of them really did what we were seeking, which was to find a way to allow that. So after reading through that, all that information, I guess I became a little bit, and I sort of joked with Sonia, last meeting. She says, I said, well, can you give me examples? And she says, no, there aren't any. And I'm like, yeah, I just don't think there are. And so it certainly would be different than what I saw in other communities. Again, trying to find writing a policy that would specifically allow for private wells. So that's where I ended up. You can click on some of the links to find out more information. There's pretty good information in that, but that's the quick summary.
I don't have anything like official that I've like researched yet and like put into a nice thing like this, but I've been kind of poking around and Googling around this too, and discovered essentially what you discovered too. I was like, well, there has to be some examples of people who do this, and it was one of those things where it's like, is my Google searching ability not working? Because I'm not this is weird that I'm not finding anything. And then I got a little bit further down the rabbit hole and landed about where you did, which is that it doesn't seem very common or at all that people really allow private wells outside of or within a municipality like we're entertaining. Or if it's so rare that you don't find obvious examples. Right.
Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I do not. I appreciate the work that Kevin has done, and we'll continue to put these together. So we'll have a report at the very end for the village board. That's the ultimate goal to this. So if Brian, you can go back to that checklist on what were the topics we were going to look at. We'll scratch some of them off as we get, yeah, right there. That's great. And I know Brian has been, people have been working on some of these other ones. So, and we have something from fire that will be on the February one. So we'll just continue to move through this list right here and eventually end up with a report with the information for the village board. But I appreciate what Kevin's done.
Me too, thank you, Kevin. Do you want Todd to talk about the Dane County wastewater system report?
Sure.
Sorry, Todd.
That's put me on the spot. Obviously, the report's old, it's very thorough. I'm sure it took a lot of time and money to put the report together. I mean, everyone knows, or it's been known for a while, that septic systems do work as long as they are maintained. I personally don't have a problem with septic systems, but I don't want them within a village limit or a city. I think the high density becomes an issue. I think they're great in the rural area, which I believe is what the report says, basically says. And I mean, it's a hard subject to breach, but like I said, that report, there's just so much information in it, you can't comprehend it all. It's extremely complex.
I did read through it, and I think one of my big takeaways through it, again, thank you for finding it, was the amount of like testing and regulation that like a county is supposed to do when you have a private septic system and stuff, and making sure that everything is healthy and safe. And I think some of this was in Kevin's stuff too, is if we allowed private wells and whatnot in the village limits, would we then now be responsible for all of that regulation and testing and making sure that people have all their stuff up to snuff? That was the one thing I didn't know that there was so much that you, like, a county had to do to make sure. I mean, it makes sense that the water was safe for someone, but it's just private well and septic tank.
And so I didn't read through it all, but, and this is probably a stupid question, but I don't know. I have a well up north in my cabin, and is it 2 or 3 years I have to have it pumped in all that?
Well, you're
Yes, ma'am.
you're in Adams County.
Right.
Whichever county's done the same thing. Every 3 years, you have to have your septic system pumped.
Right, so my question is each county different,
Yeah.
or is it a statewide?
Each
It's a different
county is different. It's every 3 years in Washera County, you have to have it inspected and then pumped if necessary.
Okay.
In Adams County, I believe it's pumped every 3 years
Right.
regardless. I know where my brother lives, he has to have it inspected every 5 years.
You know what Dane County is?
I don't know what Dane County is,
I was just curious.
but he has to have his pumped every year,
Oh,
which is weird.
Right.
So I mean, there's all kinds of rules and regulations out there, but I don't know of any county that is requiring a homeowner to test their well.
and if we ever did do this, would we set our own rules, or we have to follow Dane County's rules? That's a question. I mean, maybe we set the random.
That'd be a lawyer question.
I was just curious. This is all new to me, so I'm just learning.
Yeah. Just to add on to that, what I read is it would be up to us.
Okay.
We'd have to make a determination.
Okay.
I think we would have to, and we'd have to be at least as vigilant as the county.
Okay, we could be stricter, but we can't.
Yeah,
be
like Madison is,
less.
of course, just nutty what they require, but I think some of these other ones also require, like City of Cross requires. They had some requirements that were probably beyond the county that they're in, I think it's from Cross County. But they get to we would get to make up, or as a municipality, we would get to make up the ordinances that follow.
That was off the subject, I was just curious. Jay, you have anything to add?
No, I appreciate Todd doing that. That's something we can footnote, even though, at least in the developments, they're gonna hook into, our sewer system. So, but it's good information to have, and, we'll certainly put a footnote to that or refer it to this report. I did not read the report. This was mine, looking at this was more on wastewater than drinking water. There was really no connection to the two.
That's what he said on the last.
I'm sorry, Mr. Isak.
I'm just wondering, was there any connection from wastewater to drinking water in the report?
I don't recall reading anything on it, but I think that's where they said the density levels of septic systems and having them maintained. I'm assuming they want to make sure they're maintained so it does not contaminate the drinking water. But since
Sure.
I don't know of a county that requires testing of drinking water, I don't know how they could necessarily prove that with true science. It makes sense, but I don't know if it's actually been proven.
Sure, that makes sense. I thank you, Todd.
No, thank you. I see we have Q on the line. Q, do you have anything that you want to add?
On the subject of, I wrote a draft on, cost sharing on that, subject, Judy, or on some other subject?
No, that's perfect. Trying to go with that.
Yeah, sure. I can just summarize it, although, I want to go over some of the details with, our engineer, Ron, before I would call it final, but, I think a fair amount of this is, at least for the folks we're talking to here, is probably pretty familiar. So some of it is just kind of stating the obvious for the conventional methods of cost sharing. The issue that comes up, and I think my guess of the reason that Jay added this to the list was to talk about what would be involved if there was funding other than just through connection fees and things like that. So, and that's what I want to have Ron chime in on, but I did address the issue of basically how recapture. If a developer is involved in infrastructure project that, in paying for infrastructure that where recapture is involved, basically the village would need to be the middleman for that process, is my understanding. Just because I don't know of any precedent for, private developers to go and seek fees and recapture from other private entities. Why is it an issue at all? It's just because the public water infrastructure at zone 3, like we're talking about, is just such a large expense. So I've got a summary. I'll probably reorganize a little bit for clarity, and also just get feedback from the other, from the Plan Commission members to see if this addresses the topic or if we should be adding more material or some different material. But basically I go through the different types of cost sharing connection fees that we've discussed actually for this project. Connection fees, upgrades where a developer puts in infrastructure, the village requests a bigger scale to the infrastructure, like a larger diameter water main to service other development. And then finally, this question about putting in, recapture, basically the question of recapture, who's doing it, who's managing it, and how is it taking place? I can't think of any other types of cost sharing that are relevant here, but if someone else thinks of something either now or as they get a chance to read through it, then certainly let me know and I'll add to this.
Jay, do you have anything to add to that? Do you want to?
Yeah, just one thing, Keo, this is great. I appreciate that. The other topic was the scale, the density, how that affects the cost for developers. And I know that's kind of hard to do, but rough numbers would be helpful, I think.
Yeah, actually, I could definitely put together something like that. And you bring up what you're talking about brings up another point, related issue when you talk about density, which is with wells, we would essentially be, and that was what we proposed. We would essentially be limited, as I really understand it, to single family homes, practically speaking. Other higher density development in Dane County nowadays requires sprinkler systems, and that's not possible to do with wells. But yes, I could put together just not rough numbers, like example numbers Although I would need to check. Well, I think we already have this documented. I would need to check back in and add the water numbers to that. But yeah, I could do something like that, Jay.
Oh, I think that would be helpful, and even if it's just more, make the lots smaller, having more single family lots. Let's say yours was at 116. What would have the cost been if it was 150 lots?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
give us some idea of how density plays in offsetting maybe the cost per unit.
Yes, yes, I could definitely do that, and just probably just in a, a little brief discussion, and then I think just a spreadsheet would be the easiest way to digest that, so we could see it because we've gone through conceptual plans with as few as, if I remember correctly, as few as 50 lots and as many as 200. So I can just kind of show that gamut where we fall in that, and then basically spread the water costs across that to give an idea. Yeah, I could definitely do that.
All right, that would be fantastic.
Okay, I have another stupid question. Okay, when people say for well, like it's based on a 4-bedroom house, and they usually say 4-bedroom house or 5-bedroom house, but some people can have a 4-bedroom house that's 2,000 square feet. Some people have a 4-bedroom house that's 8,000 square feet. Is it more square foot, or is it really when they say 4-bedroom? How does that work? I don't even know.
4 bedrooms equals people,
Okay, is it?
and people use the water, right?
Okay,
That's
so it doesn't
basic,
matter about
yeah.
scale. Okay,
Unless you have an indoor pool.
okay, that would be great. Okay, I got it. I was kind of thinking that, but it wasn't. I'm like, there's different sizes for all. Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay. Any other conversation on it?
I just want to ask Kyo, I read this twice today and what you presented, and thanks for pulling that together, but it was confusing to follow. You had mentioned reorganizing it a bit. I would appreciate that to make it a little bit easier to follow along. So thanks for offering that.
Yeah, it's kind of basically the same items are addressed twice, so I'm just trying to figure out how to reorganize it so I only address them once. And maybe what I'll just do is talk about basically that summary with the first 3 types of cost sharing. Either expand the first part and get rid of the second, or vice versa. But I hear what you're I hear what you're saying, Kevin.
Thanks, appreciate it, Kyo.
Yeah, well, the way I read this, for the funding options related and also the developer and village relationship is both you Keo, but you kind of, I feel like you kind of covered both of that. Do you feel like you have 2 different subjects that you want to talk about?
Yeah, me?
No, Keo,
No.
where it says funding options, let me see, funding.
Funding options related. I don't think I'm actually on that. I don't think I'm actually on that one. That sounds to me like that sounds related to the village engineer as far as funding options. I don't honestly know those details beyond what the village engineer has told us over the past few months, where we've been talking about how funding works. It's definitely a thorny issue because I remember, our assumption is if it's public water, then the village is, everything is in the same boat with regards to funding, but that's not the case as the village engineer explained to us. It depends on whether you're serving the entire village or just a subset of the village. And that's one thing that I touched on. I think I just put it as an asterisk in my report, where I kind of defer to the village engineer, but mention, hey, these zone 3 water systems are potentially independent of the rest of village water for some large number of years. And that limits you as to what kind of funding you can use. But really, that's a question for the village engineer.
Any other comments? No other comments? What else? What would you, any other ones, Jay?
No, that was good. Like I say, it's just an ongoing discussion. So no action. We're just going to start collecting all this. If Keel's going to redo his memo, that's great. Get it everybody and Brian, and we'll be starting to put all this together like I said earlier, for a report to be given to the board.
Thank you, Kevin, Todd, and Keel for the hard work. Move on to the next one, Jay.
Yep.
Okay, number 4, February plan meeting, future topics.
I can speak to this one. I just added this topic because I am scheduled to be on leave during the next meeting. Mike Axon said he would fill in for me, so we don't need to move the plan commission date or anything. So he'll be here in my stead that evening, and I'll still prepare the meeting, everything, send all of your information directly to me. I'll get everything prepped, and he'll run the show that night.
And that'll be February 6th.
Yes.
Anybody else have anything else? Jay, anything else?
Nope, I have nothing. I thank everybody for coming. I'm sorry I'm not there, but I tested positive for COVID, so I didn't think I'd want to pass that on to you guys.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Okay, then I'm looking for a motion adjourned.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Have a great night, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Judy.
Yep, go Badgers. See you in time, right?
Yeah.
The game.
You going somewhere fun, Brian?
Yeah, we're heading down.